hello, my friends, and welcome. Can I say happy Thursday to every single person who is with us watching live on Facebook and also in the Zoom room here with us. And even those that's watching later, we want to say welcome to this discussion with our student leaders. We are so excited to be able to engage in a meaningful conversation with them and to learn and to listen and to share and to be a part of this experience. I am excited. I am thankful to have with me my brother and my friend, Dr. Scott Edgar. Come on in here, my friend, and say hello to everyone.
Cameron, thanks so much. I've been waiting for this one all week. One of my mantras is when you don't have the answers, ask your students.
Right.
Well, guess what? Today, we're going to ask the students, and we are so honored to be joined not by one, but by two members of the United States Marine, and just such a stronghold of Summer Symposium. Fran Kicks with us today. I just can't wait.
Absolutely. This is going to be an exciting time. We would like for everyone that's joining us, let us know where you're watching from, where you're listening from. Even if you watch this later, let us know in the comments where you're watching and where you're listening from. It's so cool to see everybody from all around the world come together. We're so thankful to Music for All for providing this space for us to be able to have these types of conversations. Hey, Dr. Edgar, I'm ready to bring our friends in so that we can get this thing started. Guys, come on in, come on in. All of our friends, our band directors, our friends from Music for All, our friends from the Marines. You guys come on in. Turn your cameras on. We want to see you. It's an exciting time. Absolutely. So excited to see you. We are in a very special moment because we have band directors and students with us to have this conversation. I would like an opportunity for you guys to say hello and where you're watching from. And I'm going to give the band directors a chance to introduce the students that they have with us at the same time. I'm going to start with my friend, Mr. Horton. Oh my goodness. Come on in here, Jerell. Please tell us hello and introduce your students.
First of all, let me just say thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I think this is really awesome getting an opportunity to talk to some great students. And I get to be surrounded by so many of my really great friends. It's so good to see Fran and Miss Radecke. This is just going to be really awesome. So I have two really great students with me today. Aldine Francisco down here is one of our drum majors, and Aldine's going to be one of our returning drum majors this year. And also with us is Miss Catherine Crontiers, who is also one of our field captains. So two of our student leaders with us today. Thank you guys for being here, by the way.
Awesome. And we're so glad to see them with us here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad that you're here. Miss Radecke, come on in, my friend. Please tell everybody hello.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lainey Radeke. I'm one of the band directors at Wando High School. Music for All, folks, thank you for having us. And again, I'll echo Jerell, just Mr. Horton. So good to see you and Frank Hick and just kind of get everything together and going again. So thank you for having me and having our students. I'll introduce these guys to you. First, Brook Smith. She is our returning drum major, head drum major, and we're happy to see her as a senior. And then you'll also see Brendan Breen with us as well. He is a rising junior, and this will be his first year as drum major. And we're so thrilled to have them join us today. Thank you again.
Absolutely. We're glad you're here and welcome. We cannot wait to hear everybody diving into the conversation. I think this is a lunchtime chat. So literally, like I got something here. So I'll be, enjoying this conversation, listening. You may see some chips come in. You never know in a few minutes. We're so excited to have our friends from the Marines are with us. And we want them to come on in here and say hello to us. Come on in, my friends.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Staff Sergeant Mardia Timoney, and I am the 6th Marine Corps District Musician Technical Assistant. And we also have...
So I'm Captain Martinez. I'm the recruiting station executive officer out here. So specifically, I help assist young aspiring musicians and coordinate with Staff Sergeant Timoney over here.
Absolutely. Listen, we are so thankful for you guys and all that you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you add to music education. We're so thankful for you and glad that you're here to be a part of the conversation with us. You know what? I am super excited to have my brother and my friend, Fran Kick, here on stage with us, talking with us. Fran, come on in here, my friend, and say hello to everyone.
Well, hello, and thank you again, Cameron and Scott and everyone at Music for All for pulling this together. It's a treat to share some time with students and directors. And obviously, student leadership has been a core value of Music for All for decades. And so this is a perfect time to engage and share some thoughts. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my brother and my friend, Dr. Scott Edgar. Come on in, my friend. Let's get the party started.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm just a little bit north of Chicago. I'm at Lake Forest College. I'm band director there. A lot of my work centers around the value of music education on top of the notes and rhythms. The notes and rhythms are so important, but the life skills and everything that we take with us after we leave the classroom, we're always going to remember Miss Radecke and Mr. Horton, but we're going to remember the experiences that they create, that feeling of what it's like to come together and make music. And wowzers, we've missed that these last 18 months, haven't we? We've missed those experiences. And that's the beauty. As much as I love to come together on Brady Bunch, I can't wait to get back in the band hall and do what we do. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what went well last year, even amidst the crisis and challenge, and what maybe we're going to do a little bit differently.
Absolutely. And to start that off, we want to know from the last 15, 16 months, they've been absolutely normal, right? No, they have not been normal, but we want to know what went well over the last couple of months. What went well in your particular area? I'm going to start with my friend, Miss Radecke, and then give a chance for her students to chime in as well. Just let us know what went well for you guys this last couple of months.
Absolutely. I think, we all had to kind of make it up as we went, I felt like, and there are some things we learned along the way, some of which we want to keep, because it really did make a difference moving forward. For us, some rhythm training and ear training that we did, like through Smart Music. It seems kind of silly to say that, but to be honest with you, now that I get on the other side of it, I go, okay, we were able to internalize, even though we couldn't sing. We were able to do those things that helped us become better musicians. For me, another thing, and an even more important thing, I believe, was just building trust with our students. If they're still here, it's because they want to be, because they've been through a lot. And the fact that they trusted us to walk them through this process and say, guys, we got it, but we needed them to do that. So building trust, building student leadership, those are the things that really worked for us. And finally, community performances. We're able to, when we finally could play in small groups, we did a lot of that, just getting out in the community, letting the community know that we're still here and we're functioning. And we were able to say thank you to our community. And I think that sometimes when we get so wrapped up in our competitions and our football games and all the other things, we don't get to go to businesses and say, thank you for your support. You're one of the reasons that we are able to do what we do. Thank you for being with us all these years.
Absolutely. That community engagement is huge. It is huge. I'm coming to my friend Brook next. Brook, I want to know from you, number one, what year are you going into? Is this your junior year, senior year? And then tell me last year, what went well last year? Brook, come on in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be a senior this year. It's my last year at Wando. Heartbreaking. But I think one of the things that really went well for us is, yes, building community, but building our sense of community within our band. It was so hard to do section events and section dinners with COVID because, you couldn't gather in large groups. So I think we really had to work hard and put extra emphasis on building a sense of trust, like she said, and a sense of togetherness within our band, within our section, within our friend groups. And I think that it's really given us great results. I've never felt as much a part of a family as I do now. And I think it's because of COVID.
Wow, that is huge. That family dynamic, that you can go anywhere, Brook, and you talk about band, and it's going to come up that we are a family. And it is so huge. My friend Brendan, I'm coming to you next, my friend. I want to know the same thing. What year you going into? And also, what went well according to you last year? What went well?
So I'm going into my junior year, and I agree with Brooke. Everything with the community and family aspect of band is what went really well. I think a prime example of that in our program was our baritone section. They were in constant communication with each other throughout COVID. They had a group chat, they talked all the time, and they tried to do stuff outdoors, COVID friendly and safe. And through that, their retention rate with freshmen, sophomore, all across the board was great. they're one of the strongest sections, and it's helped them grow together and be strong as a section, and it's shown a lot of growth.
Absolutely. My friend, listen, there's space and opportunity for you to become a band director one day, talking about the strength of retention and holding on to kids. Man, that is absolutely awesome. I love every bit of that, every bit of that. Mr. Horton, I'm coming to you, my friend. I want to know the same thing. What went well from your perspective these last couple months?
I think we were in a pretty interesting situation because when school started for us, we saw half the population one day. We saw the other half of the population the next day. So we actually had some time to be around each other. And I'm just gonna be real. In the South, football was happening. So since football was happening, we had that conversation with our school administration, and we were still able to meet together as a group, always outside. So what we had to do is we had to get really smart about how we designed what we were going to perform. So we do a lot of our designs in-house. So we designed the whole show at a 4-step interval. Everything was just, in a space where we could still meet together and keep up with the obligation of being socially distant. So through our football season, we actually had some moments that were a little bit like what it was pre-COVID. We didn't get to travel as much as we normally would. And it's funny, just last week, and I think Catherine and Aldine will agree, we were just having conversations about basically this conversation, what went well, what didn't go so well. And what they missed the most was just being together with each other, just, going to away games or being on bus rides or competing together and all those, just the aspect of being together. So I think one of the things that went really well for us was just to realize that whenever, one of the questions we would ask them constantly is, can you still do your job when the conditions aren't favorable to the best of your ability? Which, I think kind of goes along with, people talk about integrity is what you're doing when no one's watching. It's kind of the same thing as like, can you still do this job to the best of your ability when the conditions aren't favorable? We all know that it's easy to do it when the conditions are favorable. So that was a lot of our conversation. And I think just the realization of we can still do some things, although it's not the same as what we would normally do. Let's be grateful for the things that we can do and just appreciate the opportunities that we did have to be together. And I think one of the most impactful things was the realization that some of our best performances, and I know this is a little controversial, but we came to this realization that some of our best performances were never in front of other people. It was in those moments when we were just around each other and we were just enjoying music for music's sake. And then the conversation turned to, well, then why can't we put that best foot forward all the time? Why do we have to amp it up when other people are around? Why can't we just do that all the time and just make that the norm? So I think those are two takeaways I think I took away from being isolated from other people. You have to kind of look inward a little bit. So I'm excited to hear what Catherine and what Aldine are going to say about their experience too.
Absolutely. And we want to hear from them. Catherine, we're going to come to you next, my friend. We want to know what went well for you and also what year you going into this year? What year?
I'm actually going to be a junior next year. And I think one of the most important things that I came out of this with like what went well is just appreciating being together. I think we can all agree that we missed a lot of that. And I think that like even going through some of the hardest stuff, like whether it's like being in a really hot bus or something, like just being together makes that so much better. And it's experiences that are really important and just things that you'll remember.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yesterday, our friends from the Marine talked about those shared experiences. And you're absolutely right. Having those shared experiences, it helps with that connectivity as a family. Aldine, I'm coming to you next, my friend. Same thing. Want to know what went well last year? And also let us know what year you're going into.
Hello, I am Aldine Francisco. I'm going to be a rising senior for Vestavia Hills High School. And something that went well, I'm going to really piggyback off of all these surrounding messages from Mr. Horton and the friends from Wando, is that community is, there's something oddly, I would say like specific about band community, and it's almost as family, and we have such a strong connection, that familial feeling. And that comes to my message as the best thing about what we did is the adaptability and flexibility of what came through with the coronavirus. What I'm saying is like everyone all suffered, isolation and the same problem. And when you have a family, we understand each other that this is a collective effort of just this. Sorry, I'm trying to think.
That's fine, my friend. Listen, I want you to know something. I want you to know this, that when you said adaptability, my friend, Dr. Scott Edgar, was turning cartwheels. I was turning cartwheels. All the band directors on here were turning cartwheels because that's what it's about. It's about, can you handle being flexible and can you handle being adaptable in all types of situations? Is that what you were thinking?
Yes, sir. It's more of that we understood the effort, that we understood each other's struggle. And so that only empowered us to only go further and create our new normal for us, sir. Yes, sir.
I love that, man. I love that. That is so good. Creating our new normal. This is the new path that we're going to take. I want to hear from our friends there in the Marines. And I want to know from you, from a music and music education standpoint for you guys, what went well last year?
So as far as things that went positively well for the Marine music program, and specifically to what I do as far as musician procurement, is we were able to, especially whenever most of our job consists of us going out to schools as far as high schools, the universities, and as well as most of these music educator association conferences. And we had to really make sure that we took a small pause as far as how can we still keep the momentum of being able to reach out to these educators, these students, as far as still letting them know that there are opportunities for you to still continue to become a professional musician while everyone is at home. And one thing that has proven to be very positive for our program is the fact that we do have these virtual means, as far as we have Zoom, we have FaceTime, especially the fact that our submission process is similar to that of most of the collegiate processes, where you will submit your application as far as your audition videos and submissions through YouTube or your own personal recording. That helped us provide feedback to these potential Marine musicians a lot faster. And then that just led us to just making sure that we were continuing to be that tip of the spear and just continuing to be innovative. And as far as for your Marine recruiters?
So on our side, and specifically with me being the executive officer and the coordinator piece, it was awesome, just what everybody was saying, just the innovative piece that amongst you as the educators and then also the students, you guys are just dynamically trying to, create ideas. How can we go and practice? How can we go and we set up these either community engagements? And just that responsiveness that you were all able to go and generate, they gave us ideas on what we needed to do to provide that exposure piece out to you. So our recruiters are always either trying to get engaged with either the students or with the educators, ensuring that the opportunities were able to get out there. And I think that's one thing that came from it. But overall, what we also found was you all said it a lot, was just a commitment and building those relationships. I think a lot of it came just from the self-accountability and peer accountability of all, because you saw the musicians who really wanted to be musicians. And I thought that was phenomenal because, again, you'll see a lot of things that I saw was just, we were openly just playing, but then you saw either if there was like a trumpet player, he was more than willing to get a covering so he could do an in-person audition. They were going to either do these meetup locations or do all the video submissions. And they were really quick about it. And it was really, really just rewarding just to see these individuals so passionate about things that they wanted to go and pursue or either just try out for and see if they had the capability to be a Marine musician. So I thought that was pretty just good to see just overall for the last year.
Absolutely. You know what's powerful? That whether you're in a high school or a middle school or a college band or the Marines, the connectivity, the relationship building, and you said something, Staff Sergeant Timoney, that just made, another cartwheel for me. You're talking about feedback. That is so huge. Even as a high school band director, you got that feedback. Now that we have this technology, as you were saying, you can send a video and I can give you feedback, or I can send it to my friends that's in the Marine and they can give you feedback. I mean, it's just huge to have this feedback circle taking place, because that is how we get better as a family. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I'm going to my friend, Fran Kick, and then to Dr. Edgar. And I just want to know, Fran, you've talked to band directors all across the time of the pandemic. What are just some things that you're hearing that went well this past year for music and music education?
Well, I think we talk a lot about the ability or the capacity to change doing what we do. But given normal circumstances, we resort to habits all the time that keeps us from changing. Well, this past 15 months or 16 months has kind of forced us to break some of those habits and create that innovation or that adaptability, as was mentioned earlier, so that we can succeed. And what's neat about hearing from Lanie is, some of those things we want to keep even as we move forward, like the connection to community is so vital for school music programs and the support that they have. So rather than just go back to what we've always done, wouldn't it be cool if we continue to outreach into the community at large and share our appreciation through our music? What a great lesson to stay with us.
Absolutely. I hope we take that with us full steam ahead. I hope we take it with us full steam ahead. My friend, Dr. Edgar.
Fran, you couldn't have given me a better baton pass to the next question. Thank you. Just a home run. Because, we always do go back to the way we've always done it. Those habits are so hard to break. And if the experiences of the last 18 months haven't taught us anything, it would have been far too painful. We need to move forward and do better. So that's where we're going to go now. We're going to talk about what do we want to look maybe a little bit different. For the students, you've been through a couple years. You know what life looks like at Wando and what life looks like at Vestavia. What would be some things that maybe you want to tweak, that maybe you liked a little bit better? We know some students actually learned better online. What are some of those things that we want to take to heart? And your band directors and band directors all over the country are listening. So why don't we start with the band directors, and then we'll kick it to the students. So Jerell, my friend, what's something that you learned from this last little bit that you're going to take with you, just as Fran just said?
I want to kind of piggyback on something that Miss Radecke, by the way, everybody, we know each other really well, so it's hard for me to call her Miss Radecke. She's Lanie. But one thing that Miss Radecke said that was really great that we picked up on at the end of the year. So, public performances were at a minimum. We all know that. But we decided, since the restrictions had started to lift a little bit near the end of the year, we decided to make our final concert of the year an outdoor event. And we'd never done that before. And I'm going to be a little bit geeky because those of us that have studied wind bands, we all know that around the country, that was the norm. This is how things started. There were community bands. There were always outdoor spaces to play. So we decided to have our concert outdoors. I called some food trucks. I sent a message to all the band parents with a layout of the front of the school to say, get here at blah, blah, blah time, put your lawn chairs here. The food trucks will be there. We'll have the concert band set up there. And it was one of the best concert band performances I think we've ever experienced. And it was just really great. And I think what we appreciated about it the most was that it was a community kind of aspect to it. It wasn't just come sit and watch us, but it was like, come be a part of this atmosphere. Get your dinner, sit in a lawn chair, listen to some Granger or whatever else we were playing, which we did play some Granger hair toss. But it was really fun and we had a really great time. So I think that's something that we should keep. Is like what Ms. Radecke was saying earlier, is that making sure that we create these opportunities that are more of community type events when it's time for a performance, and not just they don't always have to be so formal, come and sit and watch us, but anytime we can interact with the community, I think that is something that we want to keep forever. That one impacted me the most.
Jerell, a home run of home runs. And we're going to go to the Marines in just a little bit after we hear from the students, because we know the community engagement is part of their mission, that it's part of their DNA, that the music that they produce is part and with the community. So we're going to get to the Marines in just a little bit. But before we do that, Lanie, we're going to go to you. What's something that you're going to change up at Wando coming up this fall?
There are a lot of things that we honestly want to get back to, that we used to do, that we haven't been able to. We're in a little different situation than I think my friend, Mr. Horton there. It's also really hard to use your last name, but I love it. it was one of these things where we were in phase one. If you were to ask our guiding authorities in the county, all year long. And so our ability to perform on campus was almost none. We only got the clearance at the very end, and we weren't really able to have people there, maybe a couple of folks, and we were spread out. We always were covered. But it was very difficult to have rehearsals. And when we played at football games, we were told we couldn't go on the field, even though we were watching the football team play their games. But we were a little too dangerous. We were more dangerous than them. And so we ended up under the flagpole, spaced and masked and double masks and all the things. And you could just imagine how that was a challenge for everyone. Clearly, I'm being as kind as I can. But our students were so resilient. I think for us, like Mr. Horton said, just if we can keep getting into the community and if we can make ourselves more accessible to them. One of the things that we've been learning over the past few years, and not just through COVID, is a lot of people in our community probably would support us more if they knew more about us. And I think in my mind, I think everybody knows what we do. Everybody knows the Wando Band in Mount Pleasant. Of course they do. Guys, we're more well-known around the country than we are in our own backyard. And that has been so surprising to me for so many reasons. So I think they want to support us, but we've got to do a better job of saying, hi, we're Wando. Please come, or can we come to you, to make those, again, connections better and stronger within our own community.
Lainey, such a powerful testament to advocacy and to getting the word out there. And if you're not going to fly your flag, no one else is going to fly it for you. But, you know, there's another layer to this that I think something that you've already spoken to is the important dialogue that we have with our students. And if we don't know our students, and if our students don't know us, that's one thing we discovered this last little bit, that makes everything so much better. So yes, at a program level, 100%. But I think we can go even a little bit more micro with that. And how can we better get to know the people who we're making music with? Brendan, I see that you're waving your hand at us. You have something to add. What do you have, my friend?
Yeah, going off what Miss Radecke said, us being in phase one, we couldn't really play much as a big ensemble. And so in years past, Wando wasn't always the best about playing in chamber groups, but this year, that was one of the only things we could do. So focusing on that, I think us playing in small chamber groups made us grow a lot as individual musicians and appreciate music for music. Going off when she mentioned us not being able to have concerts, we couldn't have concerts. So due to that, we played for the music, and it made the students really appreciate the music for the music, not trying to impress someone else or impress your parents. It made you want to play the music because you wanted to be good at playing what you were doing.
Oh, the clarity of that, the clarity of the purpose of music. You know, we say that it's the process, not the product. But when we clarify that, who's the music for? It's for us. It's for the people that we're making music for. It's the people who we love the most, who have sacrificed so much to put you in the position that you're in right now. And that's the gift that we give back to our audience. So, so powerful. Thank you for that. Absolutely. Now, to my friends in the Marines, so many of these words that we're hearing right now, through the wonderful experiences we've had with your compatriots during the first part of this series, these ideas that, can you still do your job when the conditions aren't favorable? Well, that's been your mantra this year, right? It's, we have a job to do. We're the Marines, and pandemic or not, we're going to keep going and doing our job. Can you talk to us just a little bit about the value of that and the life lessons and digging deep when the going went tough and so many things were outside of our control?
Of course. Well, since the beginning of the Marine Corps, that's what we do, especially as far as whenever we are faced with obstacles, whether you're speaking to that of a combat mindset, whenever we're here within our own communities, as far as, hey, we're facing this obstacle, how are we going to overcome it? And for us, just because we are a performance-based institution, we don't have that much time to take a solid pause or to actually stop everything. Everyone is waiting for us. So I would say first and foremost, the way that we've been able to be successful throughout everything that's happened in the world for this past year and a half has been, I would say, due to the very amazing leadership that we do have across the entire Marine Corps, starting from the Commandant down to our newest leaders as far as our brand new Marines who are graduating recruit training. And one thing that I know I've learned across my years of being in the Marine Corps is the value of always trying to look 4 to 5 steps ahead, not only for the sake of the mission, but even more so as far as how do you take care of your people and the second and third order effects that happen because of that. So some things that I saw that were extremely positive and that the Marine Corps was able to shift directly. My office is in Parris Island, South Carolina, right on the recruit training depot. So whenever the depot was unfortunately closed to the public, as far as people coming in and out and people being able to see their children graduating recruit training, one thing that Parris Island was able to do was to live stream those performances. As far as the actual graduation ceremonies, they had the civilian Marines who worked diligently to support all of our families, especially our family members who are not always with us day to day, provide a lot of virtual clinics, discussions as far as, hey, this is what your brand new Marine in your family has recently gone through. This is how we can help you transition to the next phase as far as their careers and whatnot. So we were able to broaden our reach as far as community, especially for those who were unable to see their young men and women after they've been gone for about 3 months before they go to the next level of training. And that even was expanded as far as all of our Marine bands across the nation and the 2 that we have overseas, they have been putting out top tier performances as far as performing at the graduations, performing ceremonies, doing some on the spot, hey, we're just gonna speak a little bit as far as the heritage and the legacy and the story of the Marine Corps, or we're just gonna tell you the story of what we do. And that has proven to be very positive. So therefore, yes, we're still engaged, we're still challenging, we're still feeding ourselves as musicians. And hopefully by us doing that, we continue to feed all of you in turn. So I don't know if you have anything else to add on that.
I mean, just with everything that we were doing last year, that was a lot of the stuff that we were trying to implement just in the local area. I think earlier you mentioned something about kind of just taking it as a micro level. And that's something that we started doing here a little bit more engaged, because you hear the Marines, right? But what are the Marines doing in the local area? How are we engaging with the communities? How are we engaging with the schools? So with that, the Marines that are working within your local communities, we started getting a little bit more involved with either the social media assets that are out there, presenting the community engagements that we have been, either whether it be community service by either picking up trash or either going to these small concerts and recognizing these young men and women who are taking that next step to decide to enlist within the Marine Corps. Also just our scholarship recipients actually, publicizing that to say, hey, we do have this scholarship that's out there. And these individuals, they may not be able to go and walk this year, but at least we still want to pay them that recognition, saying that they competed against 500 other individuals and they're the ones selected out of this area, and that was really, really rewarding to see that. What I like is that we mentioned we learned a lot of lessons learned, right? And we're able to go and reflect from that and things that we want to go and retain. So we're not just letting all that go away, because we're able to go and use that for now that we're meeting everybody in person and actually still getting that word out. We're just now able to interject our personality a little bit more while meeting with the teachers, the educators, staff, the students, to go and show that. But we're still going to go and maintain all this stuff that we've seen from before, and then just at least bring a little bit more a little bit more assets to it. I know last year we had things that were canceled, i.e. the ceremonies that were supposed to come through Alabama and then some of Mississippi. That may be coming on this year. And then just for the educators workshop, I know we did a little virtual educators workshop, talk to them, but this year we're hosting another one where they actually go to Parris Island, they see the transformation process, they see the Marine Corps band play, and everything along those lines. So that's all coming back, but we're still trying to maintain everything that we've done before.
Absolutely, my friend. And thank you guys so much for sharing. Listen, Captain Martinez, Staff Sergeant Timoney, you have to come up to Music for All Summer Symposium, because you talked about leadership, and leadership matters. You just have to see a room of energy. Jerell, you know, I mean, it's just energy. It's contagious. I mean, it just gets all over you, and it just gives you the fuel for what's ahead. And one of the people that helped to make that magic really come alive is Fran Kick. Now, Fran, they talk about leadership and leadership mattering. I want you to come on in, my friend, and just tell us a little bit about, you know, leadership and student leadership and Music for All.
Yeah, well, rather than me explain it, I think it'd be great to have Aldean's perspective on what that leadership weekend experience and participation was like, especially in line with what we talk about being anticipatory. I have a friend, Daniel Burris, who talks about having an anticipatory organization, one that plans ahead, as Staff Sergeant Timoney talked about, 4 or 5 steps in advance, and knowing that Aldean is a veteran of his program and now has a lot of new members that didn't do what they were supposed to do last year. How do you, Aldean, take some of those skills you've learned about leadership and working with people to help plan ahead for this coming season?
You hit me with the biggest brain teaser I could ever think of right now. Give me a second. Oh man. The most memorable experience for me in the leadership camp at Music for All was first hour. We all sit in an auditorium. We were all comfortable with our little groups, with our school. And I can't remember if it's you or Mr. Lambert, he told us to stand up and move around and introduce ourselves. And really what we learned from there is, if we do not reach out to other people or extend our invitations to other people, then we really won't become together, as band is known as, to be a family. One second, I'm trying. And from there, when we were isolated, we were comfortable with our closest group. It made us isolated as being protected from the outside, and experiencing like for a year's worth of just being in our home, we become self-inclusive with our closest and not getting used to going out and extending. So this is what I really do not like about the isolation part, because I remember Mr. Horton would say this: isolation is not being away from the virus. Isolation is a social thing. You're staying away from people. And so one thing I would love to have to do is to really extend our invitation to the upcoming freshmen or the freshmen last year, so the sophomores that never really get to experience what the family was like for our program. Sorry if I don't answer it fully, but that's
perfect. Yeah.
That's what
and
I'm thinking.
If you're listening or watching this live or after the fact, think about all those musicians that don't know how they can connect to your band program. And it would be super beneficial to get outside that comfort zone of just hanging out with your friends and reach out to those younger musicians and those 8th graders who are thinking about coming to the high school and what am I going to do, and take the time now to plant some seeds in the relationship bank that you have with them so they can be a part of something bigger than themselves, which is one of the best reasons to be a part of the band.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fran says something about a relationship bank. Now, you know I'm going to steal that. I'm stealing it. Like right now, I'm stealing it as we're on here because it's so true. And the student leaders, you guys and girls, I mean, you pay it forward to the program when you invest in the 8th graders and the 7th graders and the 6th graders that's coming up, and that continue and become professional musicians. You know, the sky is the limit, and it's so cool to see. Listen, family and friends, as we get ready to kind of see the landing strip out there for our time together, I have one more question for you, and that is this. I want to know, What are you going to need this fall in order to be successful? I'm going to start with our student leaders, and I want them to be thinking about that and processing. What do you need this fall in order for the fall to be successful according to your vantage point? What do you think is going to need to be in place in order for fall to be successful? I'm going to start with my friend Brooke. Brooke, I want you to come on in here and I want you to tell me, what do you think is needed for the fall to be successful?
So I think what we really need is just organization. Like last year, for a lot of people, was just real messy, and it was a chaotic mess. And so I think we just kind of need to be like, hey, like this is what Wando does, or this is what our school does, and just kind of get back into focus with it and stay organized and have a clear goal and maintain focus and motivation even through October. Even like throughout marching season, throughout concert season, just keeping motivation up and keeping up enthusiasm for marching band.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. My friend Catherine, same thing. Just want to know from you, what do you feel is needed? What's going to be needed going into the fall?
I really think, like Aldine was saying, the social interaction with the underclassmen is going to be really, really important, especially for our school, because our freshmen are actually not even on our campus anymore. So they're not even with us at the school during the day. So it's really, really hard to get that interaction with them. And also, I think just with the freshmen last year that are also upcoming sophomores, they never really had that experience either. So I think just getting to know them, even if it's like getting out of our comfort zone, just being nice and being kind to everyone is going to be really important to get that interaction back.
Ooh, being nice and being kind. Oh, you speaking my language. You speaking my language. I love it. I love it. My friend Brendan, coming to you next, my friend. Same thing. What do you see from your vantage point that we need in order to be successful in the fall?
Well, with a program as big as Wando, I remember my first day of band camp was incredibly scary. You see a bunch of people, they know everyone, they have friends, they're already in sections. The section the year before, closely bonded, friend groups closely bonded. And I remember one of my best friends now, Caroline, the first day of band camp, we kind of knew who each other were, but she knew my name. And another section leader named Ben knew my name before I got there. And it was the knowing my name before I met them that felt welcome. And so as a drum major this year, I've been trying to get to learn everyone's name, all the new freshmen, because I've had multiple people tell me that even that one little interaction of just knowing someone's name goes a long way and keeps them in the program.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Knowing their name and calling them by name builds the connection, builds the relationships. And listen, I want to encourage you in that challenge to get all of your new students just to get their name. I always refer to the new students as VIPs. So a program has VIPs and vets. So any new student, freshman, incoming student, student that moved in the middle of the year, that's a VIP. And Brendan, I want to encourage you, my friend, to learn their names and make that connection. Aldine, same thing, my friend. What about you from your vantage point? What is needed in order to be successful in the fall?
I believe everyone literally checked all the boxes, is that being able to be welcome. And I guess what we can take from there is a very management from there, where our focus, yes, indeed, is the new people, but as well as it's a relearning process for everyone else. Being one thing I loved, I guess last year, was able to be solely focused on even one step. It's like in focusing on that one step, being able to, explain from there and develop that growth. It's like planting the seed every step on the way. Where am I getting at? It's that, man, sorry, I'm getting lost. By being able to better band is by first allowing our roots to grow. And, oh man, I'm so sorry, guys.
Listen, Aldine, brother, you don't have to apologize. This is a family conversation. And as a matter of fact, it is a lesson for all band directors, including myself, to slow down, provide space, and let the students just share from their heart. So my friend, take your time. We're here.
Yeah, it's just really on the focus. As the percussionist, our percussion instructor, Mr. Palmer would say, oh man, I'm getting a little emotional, is that we're not going to leave the weakest gazelle behind. We're going to make sure that everyone, like everyone, is on the same page and together. And from there, it's like an exponential growth. We can't really do much anything unless everyone's together. And from there, we can collectively learn and then experience all the things we need to experience and then become like the best as possible.
Oh man, that is so rich, my friend. We're not gonna leave the weakest gazelle behind. See, you're gonna make me cry with somebody cutting onions in this office. I'm gonna have to tell them they gotta stop this. Listen, that is beautiful and it's so important. Student leaders, please don't miss that. Band directors, music educators, everybody, please don't miss that. That you're not gonna leave the weakest member behind because you never know. 2 years from now, it could be next section leader. 3 years from now, it could very well be the next drum major. And so we want to invest in them, encourage them, and make sure that they are a part of the family. My friends there at the Marines, please come on, unmute. I want to hear from you. What do you need from your perspective that's going to be successful in the fall? We want to see success in the fall. What are you guys looking at as a need?
Well, as far as our needs, we really base our needs off of, well, we don't really have our needs specifically, but we really try to respond to what the community, what our nation actually needs from us. So therefore we can serve them the way that, they're requesting us. So one thing that a lot of feedback that I've received, especially recently, I was at Florida Bandmasters Association. And that was my first actual conference since February of last year, when I was on the plane leaving San Antonio from Texas Music Educators, thinking like, can't wait to do this all over again. Little did I know. So some of the direct feedback I received from a lot of the band directors, especially in the panhandle of Florida, was, when are you going to start bringing musicians back to our schools? And that is something that we are already at the ready. We're ready to go. So if that is a need, especially as far as the educators, as far as bringing our Marine musicians into your schools, having us sit down with your students, having us perform for your communities, having us help tell the story of not only the Marine Corps, but also the American story and what it means as far as your local hometown, whether it's Mount Pleasant or Vestavia Hills right down the street from us, we're ready and willing to do that. And if you want to start that conversation, by all means, all you need to do is reach out to your local Marine representative. And that's coming from a music standpoint. But those local Marine representatives, the ones that are always coming in and out of your school, those young men and women, most of the time, I will say they're not musicians, but it's okay. They don't bite. So I will say, especially if you want to have that conversation of, hey, I know we've been doing a lot of rehearsals, but let's just talk leadership. Let's talk self-reliance. Let's talk confidence. Let's talk poise. Let's talk pride. Trust me, if you go to any Marine wearing this uniform, they'll be more than willing to offer a lot of their own personal insights as far as those concepts for you, for your other students across the school, whatever it may be.
She stole most of the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say, the only thing that we can ask for is just a little bit of willingness, maybe a little bit of time, so we can actually just talk to you. We're Marines. That's one thing we do pride ourselves on. We're also people. So just getting to know us, hearing our story as well, it helps us both ways. And then, like how she said, we're more than willing to talk about just leadership in a sense. And I think what you were saying that you guys are requiring for next year, I think leadership as a whole could have just accomplished a lot of that. Leadership is going to provide you that organization. Leadership is going to go and provide you a little bit of that team cohesiveness and that team building. Some of that stuff we're able to provide just by the small interactions that we're able to go and do. And I think that's one thing that we can bring to you, but you guys can also help us out with. That's really all I have for that.
Oh, that is so good. I mean, it is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. I'm headed to my friend, Dr. Edgar. Just before I do, my friend Brendan, he said he had a value add right here in the conversation. And I want my friend to come on in and say that.
So just going off what we need for this year to be successful, Mr. Lambert and Miss Radecke always say to have a goal, but that goal not to be something like winning this regional or winning state or winning grand nationals. You want a goal that's being the best for us, being the best Wando that you can be. And I think having that goal really builds the group together to work and support and build up each other. Because if that's not there, then there's no real guidance or motivation for where to go.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, that guidance, that motivation. That is huge. That is huge. My friend, Fran Kick, oh my goodness. This has really filled my bucket today. I mean, it's just really given me a lot. Just before we land this plane, Fran, please tell us, Fran, what are you seeing from your vantage point that's going to help us be successful as we move into the fall?
Well, I think being intentional about making sure we nurture that student leadership development in our performers, whether they have a title or not, is so important because, as was mentioned by the Marines, that leadership is going to help move us forward as we continue to evolve in the current situation we're in and create a better future for this coming school year. And so take the time to nurture that leadership in all of your students, not just a select few, because as was mentioned earlier also, you never know, that young freshman might soon someday in a few years be a future drum major for your organization.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Be intentional. We can all walk away with that from the conversation today. My friend, Dr. Edgar.
Friends, what a powerful moment where we're hearing so many different perspectives. I think often we just see things through our lens, through our eyes. And when we start to hear things from different perspectives, we become richer for it. We talked about the weakest gazelle, and there's one thing that was just popping into my head, that there are certainly moments in my life and areas in my life that I'm a gazelle, and certainly moments in my life and areas of my life where I'm a lion. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, that when we look at our newest members and we say everyone can be a leader, yeah, I agree with that. But I think everyone needs to be in a position where they understand their strengths, where they understand their needs, and everyone has value added. Everyone has something that they are the best at in our organization. It is our job as leaders, as people who are gifted the privilege to facilitate an experience, to just draw that out, to highlight that, to spotlight that. And when we do that, special things happen. The common theme of music and community, it has been huge for us to understand that this is what we've been missing, the community in our ensembles, but how we get that out. Staff Sergeant Timoney, you said, continue to feed ourselves as musicians so that we can feed each other. That is number one on my to-do list. That, yes, we've missed community. Yes, we've missed being together in our band rooms. But what have we missed? We've missed coming together and making music. And that's what's coming this fall. We're coming together. And whether it be our newest leaders, love that, Staff Sergeant Timoney. I loved that our newest leaders, we're seeing the people who are coming in, they are our newest leaders. Whether we're calling them VIPs or newest leaders, that's where we are. And Catherine, I'm going to wrap it up with your words, because it really is at the heart of everything that we've said here today. Be nice and be kind. If we are being nice and we are kind, we have so much success. That is that space of empathy, that space of grace. Before we sign off today, I want to thank the Marines for their incredible contribution, not only today, but this entire week, and your support of this incredible webinar series. Thank you to the Marines. I would also like to thank the Yamaha Corporation for their continued contribution to Music for All and to everything you do for music education. Folks, as we start to sign off from this series, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of Cameron and myself, the path forward is not going to be easy, but when we do it together, we forge forward. We forge together in a way that's going to be meaningful. And if we do it with just a little bit of being nice and a little bit of being kind, we're going to get to someplace special this fall. On behalf of Cameron and Music for All, I'm Scott Edgar. Thank you so much. Be well.